Our first presentation, we would like to welcome the Artisans Group on the accessory dwelling unit projects. Lindsay, is Lindsay here, Kiss? She's zooming in on us?
Yes, we have.
I am right here.
She's zooming
Hello,
in.
Lindsay, welcome.
We have both Lindsay Baronian and Sammy Bresky here to provide an update on the accessory dwelling unit project. There are just a few slides that I'm going to go over, try and breeze through at a high level, and then pass things over to them. And then one thing to add is this portion of the meeting will be recorded, and we're hoping to upload it to the website as kind of a ADU 101 marketing piece. So it's part of the goal today.
I have a question. Kiz, before we go, is this the same presentation that you presented to the builders?
Pretty much the same.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah. All right, and we can go to our next slide here. Okay, so just a review of context here, and this has been updated since that KBA meeting on April 3rd, of just noting that this work really builds off the great collaboration of all of your planning directors and technical staff who have been meeting quarterly, who worked on population, employment, and housing targets, but realized that there were no pre-approved ADUs yet, and had seen examples across the state and the US and wanted to explore this work. And we can go to the next slide here. And some of the background of being inspired by Seattle, Renton, seeing some partnerships between multiple jurisdictions. There's an example here of the city of Seattle has their ADU universe, or AD universe, I suppose. And then even in states like California, where they're starting to mandate pre-approved plan sets as well. So there was some interest in kind of exploring this and making it happen here. And we can keep going. And so coordination across jurisdictions, and some of this is review, but all the jurisdictions have come together to really build out 6 plan sets, 4 that are licensed and 2 that are really new and original. And these were developed based on the most stringent zoning and building code, which I believe is Port Orchard, so that these plan sets could work in every jurisdiction. That was the goal. In terms of just the contract, the architect has been brought on, their subcontractor to KRCC, the Triangle staff, and it's just been coordination between these 4 cities and the county ever since. Keep going from here. So a bit about how will it work, and some of the content on these next slides is still in flux. It's being talked about and discussed, but the idea is that the building plan reviews would be expedited. And so the architectural review, structural review, energy code would be expedited, but site plan reviews are not expedited. And I believe Lindsay's going to talk a bit about this. Let me pass it to her. And so that includes the zoning, critical areas, utility infrastructure, and other site-specific reviews will still be required, is the thinking. And we can go to the next slide from here. And again, this is a proposed process. This is still in discussion by the ADU coordination team, which is the planning directors, having conversations about this. But ideally, it would work somewhat like this at a high level. A user learns about these plan sets, either through outreach or they visit the KRCC website, the jurisdiction's websites. They request a plan set for a specific site. They investigate critical areas and those other site-specific issues that are still needed to be addressed, thought of. They prepare a site plan, they apply for permits from the jurisdiction, and then the jurisdiction conducts site-specific reviews. So this is still being tweaked and modified. This is proposed, but this is the initial thinking. We can keep going from here. Some potential benefits to users is no design fees except if a structural modification is made. Potential for faster permitting, that has been kind of the goal all along with these projects, these plan sets. And then a potential for discounted permitting fees. I believe this is being discussed in each jurisdiction. I don't know the policy or where it's at, but it's for discussion. And then we can go to the next slide, which might be my last one. And then can users make modifications? The short answer is yes. There's some built-in flexibility in the plan sets, things like roof types, windows, siding. The user can hire any architect. They don't have to go to Artisans, they can. They're great to work with to make those modifications, and then non-structural modifications will still be eligible for expedited review process. And then I might have one more here. Yeah, and then just wanted to point this out. This board asked us, KRCC staff, to meet with builders. And so we had a session early in the morning. It was an early meeting. They get started at 7:30. But if you see the photo, I'm sitting right next to Commissioner Stracheljohn, Sammy, Lindsay, and then Heather Cleveland there. And we presented to KBA. We got some good feedback from them. A lot of questions about logistics, but also feedback about how these plan sets are looking, how the two new are being developed. And I'd say overall, there was just support for this project. There were no naysayers or any of that. And I'd ask Commissioner Stracheljohn if you had anything to add about that session.
No, thanks for getting up early and being there. I mean, no, it was because I know you had to come a long way. And I have to say, the Builders Board, I think we've all worked with them. They always have strong opinions at times. And I just want to say it was well received. And as Kiz said, they gave us good input on things that we can tweak and to help smooth out the wrinkles if there is any wrinkles. So well done. Thanks, Kiz.
Absolutely. Okay, I'm going to pause here, see if there's any other questions before passing it to Sammy and Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I noticed in the set, it talks about you can bring in your own architect or other professional and modify. Is there a threshold at which it no longer might meet the criteria for preset establishment and would go back to full review? Have we determined that so people don't venture off the cliff inadvertently?
I'm going to pass it to Sammy. I see you nodding your head there.
Yeah, and you'll see this in our presentation in just a few minutes here, but we've created a little side-by-side ADU style guide that kind of gives people a little bit of inspiration on kind of the flexibility of the documents, and then also gives some hardline bullet point list of like, here's all the things you can do. Here's all the things that would make it no longer a pre-approved set. And we've actually been honing in on the language of that. So I think we have a pretty well outlined set of documents to go with these sets.
Thank you, Sammy.
Okay, I will pass it to Sammy and Lindsay to take it from here. Thanks so much.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lindsay Baronian, and I'm a senior architect here at the Artisans Group. And I also have Sammy Bresky here with me. She is a recent addition in the last couple of years to Artisans Group right out of school, and her main task that she's been doing has been all of the different ADUs for all of the different regions. And so she is super well versed in all of ADU universe, I guess is what we can call it. That's a pretty good term for it. And so she's got a ton of experience kind of working through this plan set work that we've been working on. And we're a women-owned architecture firm down in Tumwater, Washington, just south of Olympia. So relatively local, and really excited to be kind of continuing this ADU process throughout the state of Washington. We really believe strongly in it, and we're really excited to bring them to the county. So next slide.
Awesome. So just to give you guys a little overview of how this process has gone, way back in July is when that RFQ went out to the public. Artisans applied and were interviewed kind of over the month of September. And by the end of September, we were awarded the work. And that's when we got to begin on the 4 original plan sets. And as you can see in the middle kind of section there, that is created by the wonderful KRCC group, or the Triangle Associates put that together. And it's kind of the overall schedule. So right now we are kind of in that in-between phase between spring and summer, I'd say. We just sent in those forward plan sets for another, or hopefully final round of review with the jurisdictions. So that was super exciting milestone. And with that, we were also able to capture some of the feedback from the KBA meeting, which was really exciting to be able to kind of apply that right away. And then for summer 2025, that's kind of when we're going to be really digging into these 2 new plan sets that we've been developing, and then those would hopefully come out this upcoming fall. And then as far as like existing programs, as Lindsay was mentioning, I have been involved in several of those so far, and we've done them with City of Tumwater, Lacey, and Olympia, as well as Port Angeles and City of Seattle. So we've kind of had a lot of time here to hone in on that set of 4 original plan sets, and they've only improved with our time with the folks here at Kitsap and all of the surrounding jurisdictions. So next slide, please. So the 4 completed plan sets that we keep referring to are kind of 4 different sizes. We've got the 480 square foot, the 600 square foot, the 800 square foot 2-bedroom, and then the 800 square foot bedroom, 2-bedroom, 2-story. So next slide. That'll kind of give you an imagery, and if you like click again, it has a little transition to show you kind of which one's which. So yeah, those are the 4 different types that we're going to talk about, and I'm going to just kind of quickly walk you through each one and kind of the greatest hits of each. So next slide, please. So before we dig into those plan sets, this is exactly what I was referring to earlier with the style guide and the limitations. So this is something we've provided as a part of promotional materials for the different jurisdictions to put on their websites so that they have very clear-cut graphics that go with the plan sets once people are actually engaging with them. So that's just going to lay out exactly when that structural engineer is needed and it's no longer pre-approved. Next slide, please. So this is the 480 square foot. On the right, you can kind of see the very much beautiful built up version that one of the neighbors in the area did. This one is a 20 by 24 plan set. So it was meant to be kind of for those smaller yards when someone might want a studio or a mother-in-law suite, something small in the back. So it's very flexible. One of the flexibilities of this one is that you can make it a 1-bedroom, or it can just stay as a studio if you wanted to use it as like an art space or something of the like. And in the built version, you can see that there's no bedroom included in that one in the design that they have. So that is the 480. This is also accessible. And when we say that, we just mean that we've made all of the doorways and the thresholds and everything so that they would be accessible, but we didn't necessarily slap the ADA label on them since it's residential. But that is something that's been considered in all of those 1-story options. So that is that one. And next slide, please. Then we've got the 600 square foot 1-bedroom. This is the slightly beefed up version of the 480 that is definitely accommodating of a bedroom. And this is best suited for 1 to 2 people. This one has customizable roof. I forgot to mention that with the other one, but both of these have customizable roof options. So you can have different roof pitches and you can also have different roof styles. And this one is, let's see, what's our special thing with this one? This one has really gorgeous vaulted ceilings. All of them have kind of the flexibility for that, but this one really shines in the vaulted ceiling area, as you can see in the render on the right side there. And this one's 20 by 30, so still pretty darn compact, but for those sites that might have a little more space to accommodate a larger ADU. Next slide, please. This is the 800 square foot 2-bedroom. So this is accommodating those 2 bedrooms for maybe, you know, a small family, or again, it could be like a mother-in-law or father-in-law suite kind of off the back of an existing home that really extends the property. And this one is very compact as well. It has a roof and window style that can be customizable. This one's also very accessible. So this one is often popular with people who are wanting to age in place or have their parents age in place with them. And you can see it on the right side there, we've got a real built version of that. That was pre-painted. We're going to get pretty pictures soon, but it's nearing completion. And that was for a neighbor of one of our bosses whose house burned down, unfortunately. But having this pre-approved set within the city of Lacey, Olympia, and Tumwater allowed them to like get in a new house right away. So that was a really exciting way that that was be able to used in tragedy. So that was awesome to see. Next slide, please. And then lastly, of our original plan sets, we've got the 800 square foot 2-bedroom, 2-story. And this one is perfect for those really tiny lots where you've only got a small footprint because it's only 19 feet by 24 feet. So this one's a really efficient design as well. And this one doesn't have as much roof flexibility, but we've built in other flexibilities instead. So you can kind of see in the plans there that there's like the little offset pieces. That's to show you that you can have an optional powder room, or you could do mechanical laundry underneath the stairs, so utilizing every square inch. And then there's also an optional laundry room. Say you put in the powder room, you need somewhere to put the laundry. So we've located that as well. So there's some flexibility with how people might use the space in this one. So yeah, and that is the original 4 plan sets. And they've, as you can see on basically every slide, has had the pictures on the right side there where it's kind of a built version. And so it's exciting to see these popping up all over the place near us. Next slide, please. Although before I keep barreling through this, were there any questions on the original 4 plan sets for clarifications?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Arlene. You calling me? No, this is fantastic. So great to see. Are there any broad estimates of the construction costs for each of these designs, or how much they might cost relative to one another yet, or is that to be worked out in the future?
We talked about that actually at the KBA board meeting and potentially asking some of the contractors for the Kitsap, the Builders Association, to provide builders estimates for us, because we don't estimate projects. That's just the contractor's specialty. So that is something that we are hoping to get in the future. And pricing is always going to constantly be in flux and changing. So hopefully we can get that closer to the date when we are officially releasing them, and then kind of put that as of fall 2025, this is what the estimate is for construction at this time.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and Councilmember Coughlin, I'll jump in here with a quick update. So Heather Wright with the City of Poulsbo is actually working with KBA right now to get some of those estimates on these 4 plan sets, just to be able to provide potential users just a range, right, of what is it on the low end, what is it on the high end. So that's the process has started.
I can't see the room with the way that my screen is set up. So are there any other quick questions on the 4 original? I think I see
Mayor Matthews. Mayor Matthews' hand is up. Mayor?
Oh, you're on mute, I believe.
Hi there. Sorry, I'm not there in person. Obviously, I've forgotten my Zoom rules. Not a question, just a comment of how exciting this is. Been just waiting. It feels like Christmas and unwrapping gifts. So thank you so much for all of the hard work. I'm really excited to see this.
Yeah, thank you.
We're excited. Awesome. Well, I'm going to move on to the next slide then, and we'll also have Q&A time afterwards, but we're going to kind of be talking about the 2 new plan sets pretty soon here, and I didn't want to get too far away from the original. As far as site plans, this was mentioned by Kiz, I believe, how, this is part of it is not fast tracked. We've actually given an example site plan as a part of our promotional materials just to give people a broad idea of what might show up on a site plan and what might be required. but that's not something that we would do unless we were hired to do so. So they're welcome to provide this as an example, but we won't be doing that. There'll be more client provided, or, if the contractor wants to do that as a part of their contract, that's between the owner and the contractor. So next slide, please.
All right, so I'll take this away. We developed a couple, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. We developed several different plan sets that were options for the KBA Kitsap Builders at Council, and kind of presented them as, hey, what works best for you guys? And so we developed a two-car garage with a carriage house above, with the option to have a third car and an additional bedroom above as kind of one of our main options. And then the other option that we developed is a 1,000 square foot, because that's kind of really starting to be asked for a lot, with the allowing to go up a little bit higher in square footage. We developed two different options in that regard, one as a 3-bedroom option and one as a 2-bedroom option, and presented those both to the council. And I think if you go to the next slide. Next slide. Yeah. So this is the two different options that we presented on the 1,000 square foot option. They are both a 20 by 50 footprint. And a couple of the ways that we are planning for alternatives is we are planning for an entry both on kind of either the long face of the building or the short face of the building, so that the building can be oriented in different ways on the site. So it gives you kind of options and alternatives. The overwhelming advice from the Kitsap Builders Association was that they preferred the 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath option. And so that's the option that we are proceeding forward with. It's that top option up there. It has kind of a large, big, open kitchen and living and dining area with a galley kitchen. And then a powder bath that has a washer, dryer, and water heater within it, and then a full bathroom off closer to the rest of the bedrooms. 2 full-size bedrooms, and then a smaller, kind of more nursery-style bedroom or den, kind of office, kind of multi-purpose space. And we have a couple different roof styles that we're planning on working with this. So while we're only going to kind of proceed with one floor plan, there will be several different roof styles. So this one has more of a shed roof style, and then some of the other options that we're developing with that will be of different styles. And then we can go to the next slide. That's those options, just a little bit larger. One of the things that we did talk through with the Kitsap Builders Association also was the size of these, and whether or not we wanted to increase the dimensions, the 20 by 50 in any regard. And the advice we got was that this is a relatively flexible size that can fit on most lots. While it's not going to fit on all lots, some of the other plan options could also potentially fit on a smaller, more constrained lot. So the advice was to kind of continue with this plan, these dimensions, because they'll work on most lots within the county. Go to the next slide. All right, this is the flexible carriage house. And kind of like Sammy said on the other 2-story option, we're not doing a lot of different roof styles on this one. The big option here is that we're adding an additional garage stall and bedroom, office, and deck above. So the first option is a 24 by 28 foot layout. And then that second option grows it to 40 by 24. And we played with this in a bunch of different ways. And one of the main things that we kind of came away from this was giving the owners flexibility to both be able to rent out the upper unit potentially, and also still be able to have the garage if they want to keep that garage for themselves. So by putting the stairs kind of in the middle of the plan, they can keep the two stall garage for themselves and rent that additional stall along with the upstairs, so that the upstairs unit can have a garage on to themselves. So that gives flexibility, and they could flip it either way. They could also rent out the two car garage and keep one stall for themselves. So by kind of splitting those up instead of having just one really large garage, it gives more flexibility to rent out different portions of the unit. Upstairs, we have on the first option just a 1 bedroom, 1 bath with a galley kitchen, linen closet, and a large walk-in closet, and one big kind of really nice open space. And then with the addition of the additional garage, we get another large bedroom with a bunch of additional closet space and a nice walkout patio upstairs for some additional outdoor space. And I guess one last thing is the accessibility portion of this is we purposely did a straight line stair so that if we need this, if someone needs this space to be accessible, it can be easily accommodated for a chairlift on the stairs, because that's the easiest run for a chairlift. So that, I think if you go to the next slide, it gets these bigger. So you can see a little bit more detail. And then I think one more slide. That is it for our presentation.